This week we take a first look at Nick's game mockups. I get great advice on my tip jar screen, and we both discuss iOS 11 App Store changes. Week 3 already. It's going fast, going fast.
It's going really fast. I feel like we're going to get 6 weeks through this, and then I'm going to catch my breath and realize like whatever I've committed to is way too grand, and then spend 6 weeks trying to like meet those lofty targets we've set.
Yeah, well, they are. This is why they are targets and not goals, because if you don't hit them but you get 80% there, that is a lot better than kind of just giving up after 6 weeks or whatever.
It's absolutely true. I feel like we have like the makings of a talk here somewhere, you know?
yeah, I'm sure you're right. Yeah, just maybe with kind of a rocky montage.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Right. Let's get into it. Shall we start with your iPhone game?
Let's do it. That's where I've made the most progress this week. So. Okay. Let's see. So last week, basically, we had talked about how I did not get the first week's iPhone task done. So I kind of had a double this week that I was going to try to accomplish. The double task was getting the preliminary mockups built for the iPhone game, and then basically diving a little deeper into the model, like what's the gameplay model, what's the revenue model. And I completed both of those. And I have a bunch of screenshots related to that. Virtual iPad. So, yeah, did pretty good on those. Feeling pretty good on those. I mean, I realized much like you have those quotes about like perfect is the enemy of the good. You know, I was trying to worry less about getting like a perfect thing out there and just being like, what is the thing I want to build? Just write it down and we can massage it, you know, in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So what were the tasks? So design preliminary mockups and design the gameplay model. So
yes,
I'm excited to look at the mockups. Shall we?
All right. Should I share my screen?
Do it. Share it with the people.
Share it with the people. I'm just going to share Safari. All right. I believe we're sharing. Can you see Safari on your screen?
I can see Safari, yeah.
Wonderful.
Follow.
Okay, so I'm going to go over to the completed list. And so we have my first one, which was to design preliminary mockups. And I uploaded 3 screenshots that I'll briefly describe. So the first thing I did when I started doing this was literally like if you had pen and paper, what I would have done. So I was originally envisioning a portrait game where think like, 8-bit video game, the heads-up display at the top with like score, life, anything like that. Then the middle where if you're watching the video, you see the orange bit, that would be where the actual animation goes, So like that'd be where like there'd be like a computer animated background and like the hero character fighting the villain as you play the game. And then finally, further down here at the bottom, you would have the bulk of the screen would be the game board. And this is where you would have the matching, so you would have like the different like maybe coins and barrels and arrows and whatever it is. And you would match 3, like a normal match 3 game. And when you would match the 3 back up here, the hero would attack the villain, or you move stuff around and are kind of failing, the villain would attack the hero. But so
got it.
I did this. By the way, I don't know why Trello. Maybe I'll open the other one in a new tab so that it resizes it. There we go. That's so much easier to see. So what I did next was then I tried to actually apply some of my graphics that I have to that format. And so this is where I got to at one point where you can see like you have a little scene, you have a hero, you have a health meter, you have a villain. And then I started doing something at the bottom where I would do the board. And I kind of basically just an hour into this was like, this is not what I wanted to look like, because in this negative space, like what's the experience look like? And so basically as quickly as I started this, I killed it. And then that brings us to what is my final mock-up, which is pretty good. So this is basically a solid rendition of what I imagine the game would look like. On the left, you have you, the hero. and on the right you have one or more villains. And in the middle, you actually have the game, which will be a grid of things that, you do the three matching. And you will proceed through levels. And as you do things like, I haven't decided exactly yet how the animation parts will work. I have both the frames and gifs of them, so I can do a lot of different. But this is the rough makeup. Guy on the left,
Yeah.
you will attack. Person on the right, villain. They will die. You will get coins, and I'll discuss a little bit what this all means in the next one. But yeah, I mean, like for the most part, I'm fairly happy with this one. I don't know if you can see the upper right, because for me the upper right is our faces, but that has the life meter of the villain.
Yeah, I see it. I moved the
Oh,
thing.
you
So
moved it.
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
So this looks really good to me. So the only question
Cool.
for me is, which maybe you're going to cover next, is this kind of little blonde-haired person, is he going to
Yes.
move or do anything? And the other guys, they will be animated.
Right. So, in this, like, I have like basically a massive asset uh, library, I suppose. So, for these characters, for you, the hero or heroine on the left, I have all the animations for basically anything you would see in like a side-scrolling 8-bit video game. So run, jump,
Okay.
fire, whatever else it is. I haven't decided what I'm going to use. I'm thinking I might keep it to some simple stuff for this first what we're targeting for this mastermind, so that I'm not mired down in animation. But like what I
Yeah.
did imagine was, at the very least, like say you matched one right now, maybe the character goes, pulls back, fires the arrow, and the arrow hits the villain on the right, and they have like there's like a damage animation. And so
Yeah.
like it'd be kind of like a game of horse, but with video game characters, like, or an RPG, like you go, I go. And
Yeah.
I'll get into a little bit how that would actually play out in the gameplay model. But yeah, so it's definitely not static. Like maybe your character does
Okay.
the thing, where they're like standing around and shit. But like, yeah, there's definitely a sense of movement to the game.
Cool. So the one on the left firing the arrow, I guess, it was the yeah, is what I
Yeah,
was wanted to check was going to be happening. I
yeah,
mean, obviously you could change these sprites to be anything anyway. So
I can. Yes,
yeah, but yeah,
exactly,
that
exactly.
looks really nice.
Cool. Cool.
Uh,
Did you have any general questions or comments before I pivoted to the gameplay and,
no,
and
I
revenue
don't.
model for the screenshot you're looking at?
No, so I guess all of the levels will be this structure, but I guess with different. So instead of trees, there will be whatever else, and the baddies will be different,
Exactly.
but the core structure will
Exactly.
be the same, and you will kind of swap
Exactly.
out the assets. Cool.
Yeah, that's exactly, like, I just wanted to showcase, like, there is a scene, there are characters on the left and the right, there is action, and then you level up and gain and stuff. But yeah, like, this is the framework, but not the actual only way it will look.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Looks good.
All right. Should I pop out of screen sharing then for?
Yeah. Sure.
You know what? I'm
Go.
going to stay in screen sharing so that I can show the next part.
Cool.
Let's see. Okay, so get out of that. Okay, so that was preliminary mockup. So the counterpoint of this was actually designing the gameplay model of what you were looking at. And I basically had this broken up into 3 tasks, which was review 3 existing games that I wanted to basically emulate, so I had something to actually aim for, and I wasn't just making it up. And then from that, kind of declare both the game architecture and what my initial revenue model is. So I basically picked 3 games, and I'll open up the attachments here. So the first one is actually the thing that started me off wanting to make this game, a Star Wars puzzle game, which basically you can see it very much mimics what I just have. Some kind of score and power things at the top, and the middle is matching, and things achieve and level up. And I'll get into a minute what I'm actually going to lift from that. But that's like, the basic game structure. And then a game you and I both talked about on the podcast before, Mars, which has a very similar, like, you advance easily over time. And then that is more the in-app purchase structure that I'm going to be lifting from, and less the gameplay. But that's why
Okay.
that one is there. And then finally, one that kind of has a hybrid of the two, I want to lift some of the gameplay of this game called Galaxy Trucker. The screen you're looking at right now is where you're actually like building a spaceship out of cars. And I was just, the core concept of this is like the static screen in the middle that changes, based on like your current mission and what you're doing.
Okay.
All right, so actually that's basically all the screenshots I had. So I will stop the screen share, pop us back. All right, so the basic details of those that I've come to now were, and I'll let you jump in when I do each one. For a revenue model, I was basically thinking of emulating the Star Wars game with a little bit of the Mars game flown in, which would be a free game based around in-app purchases with an expendable number of plays. So like, you're doing the math there. If you start it uses up like one play. And then those plays are time-based refill. So like if you use up like your 5 plays, it takes 10 minutes for a play to restore itself. Or, you can do a consumable in-app purchase to immediately restore your plays. Or a lot of them also do video ad, like watch an ad real quick to restore your plays. Some sort of either in-app purchase to, like, I think what most of the games do is it's an in-app purchase to get rid of the expendable plays altogether, like unlimited plays, or you can watch ads. And so I think that's kind of the good method to go with, because you can either be patient, watch an ad, or you can pay $1.
Cool. Okay. That sounds good. So I'm going to pay to extend the amount of time I can play in one session, basically.
That is exactly correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so then the bit that you're taking from Mars is the ads, or is...
Yes. It's going to be, I really want to lift 2 things. The concept of the cosmetic in-app purchase, and then also I guess what we'll call like a FOMO ad. So like, just to recap for anyone who hasn't, for ourselves and for anyone who hasn't played Mars, they do that thing where like, you're playing a little bit, then it'll be like, hey, do you want to try out a panda? And you get to try out the panda for 30 seconds. And then it's like, the panda is half price now. But if you hit cancel, it's back to full price. And so I really like the idea of, hey, do you want to unlock the night? Here, why don't you, I don't know if I'm going to do the element where you can actually use it, but maybe it would be like, a cosmetic upgrade would be changing the color of your elf, or depending on if the weapons aren't directly related to the battle, like if the weapon is just the cosmetic thing you use to attack, maybe the staff or the axe is an unlockable cosmetic in-app purchase. And but I like the idea of doing the FOMO ad, like, do you want to unlock, like the 99 cents right now? If you hit cancel, it's $1.99.
Yeah, so it's creating kind of artificial urgency, basically.
Exactly. Artificial urgency, but also that if you're, a confident gamer and don't care, it does not impact the gameplay. Like in Mars, you can just play with the default character. You don't need to do any of those.
Yeah, cool. And so is there any kind of coin or currency type situation?
I was thinking of doing that, yes. So what I was thinking of doing in that mock-up that I showed, I had a currency. So I'm thinking there is, when you're playing the levels, you are obviously earning coin. And my first thought was you could use that coin to unlock some of those same customizations, so like maybe I had this idea a while back, I think, or at least you sparked it, where, so you earn coin, right? Say you've run out of plays. Maybe another thing you could do in watching an ad or unlocking it within an app purchase, maybe you could spend 100 coins to refill your plays right now, or 500 coins unlocks the night. Or if you don't have 500 coins, you can buy 500 coins.
Okay, so as is, so what is your assumption that because that was like three things. So will it be all of those, or like, or one, or like, it doesn't matter. I'm just wondering. Right. So you basically, you are going to have coins.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I think, okay. If I have to narrow it down, I think, okay. And if I would narrow it down to two, I'm looking at my notes. If I narrow it down to two features, I think you should use coins to unlock okay, you should use coins to unlock cosmetic upgrades, characters or weapons or colors. And B, you can use coins to unlock augments to the gameplay. Like the Star Wars game has things like there's a BB-8 attack where like BB-8 will destroy some of the board for you and stuff like that, kind of like special power-ups. So
Okay.
if your coins could do cosmetic and power-ups, and then if you run out of coins but you want a power-up, that's where you could buy more coins. So maybe I would limit the FOMO ad to like coins. You know, like the FOMO ads aren't about cosmetic upgrades like the Mars game, but maybe it's like, hey, do you want to get our coin package? You can get 500 coins for half price right
Right. Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. And then the other
now. Yeah.
thing to bring in from Mars and all those games, or at least a lot of games,
Mm-hmm.
is the slot machine element. So I
Yes.
guess when you
Wonderful.
start the game or when you complete a level, I guess it would be when you start somewhere early on, so that you get it. You get some kind of random extra number of coins just for nothing. Um, that should be a
Right.
part of it.
Do like that. And I could even do something like if it's like you said, like a jackpot or a slot thing, maybe you get a random number of coins and maybe every once in a while you get a game ability. You know, like I said, if I have
Yeah.
something like clear an entire row or clear an entire column, maybe you can get one of those every once in a while. It's like a rare prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, all of this stuff was pretty preliminary. Like, like I said, I was going through the games and being like, okay, I like this, I don't like this, I like this. And that was kind of a summary of the like revenue models I like. So I think I will definitely massage that over the coming and refine it into maybe a tighter model that we can kind of debate more hardly.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm
And then the only other thing I had part of that was the game architecture was going to be the first draft I have for that was pretty simple. Basically, like standard start screen, like any other press start game, and it would go right into the first level. So like no waiting. Like you would download the game, hit start, and you're playing the first level. Maybe with a little tutorial assist if you need a tutorial assist. Um, but whenever you would eventually exit the game, I want to do like a map world where you can see the levels, and then that's where you could also buy more coins or unlock customizations and things like that. When I visualize what that screen looks like, that'll help lock down exactly like what would you use in-apps for and what would you use the like in-game currency for. Because I know I shouldn't like mix the two. Like in-game currency should be for a certain set of things and the in-app purchases should probably be for like in-game currency.
right. Okay. Yeah, I think it needs. I really like the way Mars does it, but I think that's
Mm-hmm.
different to the way almost everything else does it. So
It's a good
yeah,
point. Well, I
whatever.
could do away with the concept of the coins, like the in-game currency, and have it be mostly Mars based.
Well, Mars has the currency, right? So in Mars, the
Oh, that's
currency
right.
buys you. So the currency buys you uh, new people.
Oh,
Um,
but it doesn't. But you can't pick which one, right? It's a random
yeah,
pick.
it buys you a random thing, whereas actual
Mm.
money buys you people of your choice. So whoever looks cool, and then they kind of build it
Mm.
up with like rarity and like you kind of slowly collect
Right.
them for free. And yeah,
And actually, a game I haven't mentioned that's I think it's called like Laser Kitty Pew Pew. It's a very very stressful game, but it does something similar. Like you can get the in-game currency to unlock a new cat character, but it's a
right,
random unlock. So actually, that is maybe the way to hybrid where the in-app purchase and the in-game currency do the same thing. The in-game currency allows you to unlock something at random, whereas the actual in-app purchase allows you to unlock something targeted.
yeah. And then you've got an extra gambling
Okay.
slot machine element.
Yeah, you're right. Because the other thing is, what if you just really love unlocking things? Then you might want to buy more coins or play the game more to get more coins. And then playing the game more, you use up your plays, which would lead to ads and in-app purchases. Everything kind of like funnels back in on itself.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
I think, all right, good feedback. Yeah. I think part of I forget, when we do this, do we talk about what's next for this task or do we hit that second?
Let's do what's next for this. Yeah, for this project. Yeah, do that
Okay.
now.
What I had was I ripped out one of my to-dos for the gameplay model, which was to write user stories to illustrate the game flow. So I just talked very quickly about a map world and levels and going to the store and everything. I need to write out some user stories for that and maybe even include some visuals. So that was what the task was going to be. But now I think maybe I'll have two tasks that are a little smaller. Like I'll still write the user stories, but maybe without visuals. And then I will also do what we've just discussed, like kind of hard lock down this revenue model we've talked about. So we know, so I know what is in-game currency, what is in-app purchases and or ads, and how do they pivot on one another, and how do we use the concepts of like the FOMO ad and the gambling element to drive kind of revenue, right?
Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds excellent.
All right. Perfect. All right. Let's see. You have a bunch. So what is the first one that you would like to go through?
So we can talk about the mailing list.
Perfect.
Mailing list. So my target was to get 5,000 mailing list subscribers within progress. And my tasks for the week were to create sketch mockups for 2 variations of the mailing list screen. So like we were gonna have, I keep forgetting what it's called, but basically it's gonna be like a free ebook, which is very common on websites, but you don't see it very often in apps. And so I'm gonna do that lead magnet. That's what I think is the. So I'm gonna put something into the app. One task was to do some mock-ups of what that screen would look like.
Right.
And then another task, which we kind of added as an afterthought, was thinking about the website and what we might do with that.
Right.
To extend it. So I will share my screen and just talk through these. So, I mean, they are nice to look at, but there isn't actually much to talk about, but maybe you will have excellent questions.
I hope I will. If you, it's just in the middle, and then in the toolbar.
Screen, there it is. It's the big green one.
The big green one. And then you can pick your Safari window.
There we go.
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. So create sketch mockups for 2 variations of the mailing list screen. And so let's start with, if I go through them so I've done 3, and with the idea being that I will A/B test them, not that I'm going to choose one now, which I think is the best, although I do have one which I think is the best, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So
I already like this one a lot.
Yeah, okay, cool. I think
you
it's
know why?
okay.
It's just really simple, no complication about what it is. Like you look at it, free body measurement tracking guide. Put in your email and that's what you get.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad that sounds good. I don't know, I'm not really sure about this color. I'll show why I chose the color in a bit, but and it might change, but this so this is one, and this blue is the kind of app's main kind of primary color. I think the thing I like least about it is that body measurement is just such a big long word, and like putting it onto 2 lines I didn't think looked great, but there you go. I'm glad that you think it looks okay. So so that's the first one.
Well, could you just say free measurement tracking guide? Like, is it obvious that it's body? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to try it. So let me just.
Yeah. I assume what you'll end up doing is if you sign up for the mailing list there, you'll actually get an email to download that PDF, right?
Yeah.
Great.
exactly.
So you don't actually have to do anything else in the app. Like that screen is it. If they type it in right there, boom.
Yeah, exactly. So the app, I was kind of debating about whether to have something in the app or not, but I think in the end they need to go out and confirm their email address.
Right.
So, and then in a lot of ways, it's better for them to have this thing separate, to have it as a file that they can access however they want. Um, and so, if loads of people say, I want this to be available in the app, then I'll cross that then. But yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. All it will be is this just uses the MailChimp API, and then
Great.
inside the app, that is it.
That's
Send some
awesome.
analytics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And then the next one is this one.
Yeah.
So Jen is making this guide, and
Gotcha.
we've found this model on Fiverr to basically there isn't many stock photos of people measuring their body in all the ways
Right.
that we need to do it. So we've got this woman to come and take photos, and so she is going to be throughout the guide. And yeah, so it's basically all the same text, but
One quick
it's a woman.
question.
Hmm.
Um, do in the app, do people ever indicate their gender, or if they feel
They
like it?
do. Yeah.
Because honestly, if I'm being critical, the first thing I thought of with this is whenever you have something about health, fitness, wellness, nutrition, it's always a woman. And it would actually be
Mm,
really interesting to have a man or gender nonconforming person visible, even if it was
yeah.
like maybe like you just had this ad with three different models, or like it matched what the person indicated they are, if that's possible. Could
I mean,
be too much work. I thought it would be fun.
that is definitely a solid idea. So we do have, um, yeah. So what I think is that I would keep that on the back burner. So I agree. I
Okay.
think it's a good idea, but I kind of, yeah, I'll have to chat to Jen about doing
Yeah.
like a male version of it. So that
Yeah.
technically it would be pretty straightforward. It's more like
Right.
we've got to make another guide and um, find
Yeah.
another model and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, it's
um,
true. Or
it's not.
even honestly, just for the advertisement itself, it could be fine. Like I think it's fine if your body measurement guide is that model.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
could
okay,
just make different ads because then get a single stock. I don't know. That might not be appropriate, but that could also be like the equivalent of a stretch goal. Like say you get this all out there. Also, a great A/B test. Like say the smile ping works better than the blue one, and then you could A/B test that with different models.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a good idea. Um, yeah, so
I do have to say
yeah,
for this one, the spacing looks better
okay,
on the top part, like free body measurement guide. It's harder to read the pink text was on the blue, obviously, because there's kind of like a quirky wall behind it. But I think the spacing of the text is nice.
okay. So maybe I'll try and whiten this fuzzy bit
Mm-hmm.
or something. Um, yeah, that is good feedback. Um,
Or you can just add a subtle black outline to the pink text. That always works too. Because I've actually had to do this a bunch on the 7 and 7 website where we have like full
right.
screen photos and I have to have text over it. And I've done both of these things. Yeah, like obscuring the text background, or white with black border, black with white border,
Yeah,
etc.
and that one is probably going to look better if it's measured, especially on this one where there is a picture. It's a woman or a person with a tape measure. The fact that it's a body measurement, it can just say measurement. That doesn't
Mm-hmm.
actually necessarily give me more.
Also, I like that too, like free measurement tracking guide, or even just free measurement guide. Like
Yeah,
boom, boom, boom. It's kind of like it's easy for your eyes to track it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. And
But yeah,
then
strong.
cool. And then the last one is just the same thing, but with
Cool.
a. I think that there's actually less text on that one, isn't there?
Oh
So
damn. You know what though? This one, all right, this is gonna sound weird. I like the other two. I do. This one might even be better though, because it's just literally like free measurement guide.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we will.
Hmm.
So I wasn't. Yeah, I think this one does. I mean, it is clear, isn't it? There's more implied stuff. So it's like you've got to put your name in and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so
yeah,
we'll see. So I will test all of them. I'll take the
yeah.
feedback you've given, and yeah, I'll test all of them. Look,
Is the blue one the only one that explicitly says when you join our mailing list?
no, I think this one does as well.
That one does as well. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
honestly, like this is just you and me having good ideas, and like, yeah, you're just like the A/B test will tell you what's better.
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree. And so I kind of maybe I should just have two, but I thought, yeah, I'll try the three. I definitely want to do one with and without
Yeah,
the photo. Um, and
yeah. No, no, no. I think right. Photo without detailed, simple.
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Okay, and so that is the task for that.
great.
Um,
That seems pretty cut and dry. Like,
yeah, and then so my things to do. Oh no, that's not the task. So then the other thing we talked about was doing the website stuff, and I kind of got
right,
into. So I did some work on this. So we talked about like maybe adding an obnoxious pop-up or a non-obnoxious pop-up, or
right.
just generally trying to improve what the website was doing. Um, and I looked at a few options. I looked at a few websites with different ways of doing it, and like people who are popular in this space. And actually, there's quite a few people who don't do the pop-ups who seem to be
Hmm.
successful, um,
Okay.
and they tend to use like more like this. Like you have the lead, like something that you offer. You try and drive them towards something where they sign up, rather than bringing a
Gotcha.
full-in pop-up. And
That
then I
makes
looked at
sense.
a couple that do the pop-ups as well, and so there's different options. I was kind of surprised at how expensive um, the pop-up, at least the ones that I found, like
Hmm.
in a quick search or from what other people were recommending, were. So this one is like $20 a month, and this one
Shit.
is, or maybe that's $10 a month, and this one is $20 a month or a $70 one-off license. And I'm like, this is WordPress, man. I don't pay for things on WordPress, but um,
Right.
who knows?
But the thing is, that's me and you. You and I could build the WordPress theme from scratch. Everyone else can.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, exactly. So I don't really know what my next step on that is. I kind of got stuck in
Okay.
kind of deciding. So uh, it's,
Uh, how about this as a suggestion? I could see if you wanted right now. I don't remember off the top of my head what Progress's website presence looks like, but if you had two tests, right? One, say there's like a Progress homepage that's just like a typical app landing page, and you try the obnoxious pop-up, sign
yeah.
up for our mailing list for a free body tracking guide. And then on number B, actually do what we did for the App Collective, where you actually have a Progress mailing list landing page that advertises the body tracking guide, and that is the page. Very much like your screenshots, but a website.
So
And then that
how
could
do
even
people get,
funnel back to the
how
app.
do people get to that?
Okay, well, like let's say you have progressapp.co. It could be like
Yeah.
progressapp.co could be the landing page, and then it could be like progressapp.co/guide.
But I mean, where do people see the link to guide?
Ah, I see. Well, I guess that would probably be a combination of, you could be crafty, like you could change one of the URLs on the Progress App Store page. You have the support page and the marketing page. The marketing
Yeah.
page could be to that, and you could even say in the app description, sign up for our mailing list for a free ebook if that's not illegal. And then you could also, honestly, you could advertise it. Like, do you, I forget, like if Progress has its own, if you make a dedicated Twitter account, or even you could be tweeting like, hey, get our free tracking guide.
Yeah. Okay. So what I could do, actually, thinking about it, is, so, oh no, so that's the main website, but
Oh,
nothing
dude, I was pretty
happens
close.
there.
It's theprogressapp.com.
Yeah. And then this is the blog.
It's a good page, by the way.
Thank you.
Nice.
I definitely did not steal any of it from another app. Um, so this,
No.
so I could do. I mean, we were. this is the kind of, yeah. So this could become get your free. So this is where you sign up at the moment. This
Yep,
could be
exactly.
get your thing, get your measurement guide, and then that goes
Yep,
through exactly like you said. So that's the same as some of the other people I was saying were doing it. So yeah, something
yep.
here, and then I could
You know what
A/B
else?
test that with the pop-up maybe.
Yeah, I think you could do actually two or three things if you wanted to. Exactly what you just said. On the blog, change that to the ad. On the if you
Yeah.
go back to the progressapp.com landing page, did you hand code this?
No, no, no. It was a template.
Okay.
So
By the
the
way, if you
most of the
just heard
traffic
a
is
boom, either oh, I was just gonna say sorry. If you just heard a boom in either the podcast audio or here on Zoom, it's because a piece of art just fell off the wall.
nice.
Yeah,
Suicidal art.
right. But what I was going to say was, like, okay, so super easy if you wanted to add the obnoxious pop up here, obviously, that not that I'm advocating it. Or if there was a way to A/B test, like, okay, that's a lovely progress landing, download it. You could also have the ad right there, like tailor-made tracking with progress, like get our free, measurement guide by joining our mailing list. Like you could change the CTA from downloading the app to getting the mailing list sign up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good idea. So I think probably I would just
Yeah.
make changes in here, not because it's not a. I mean, I could do it in both, but this doesn't really get very much traffic, whereas this,
Okay.
well, Jen's working hard to drive traffic to here. So
Okay, then that makes more sense.
yeah, so I think if I look to set up experiments,
Yeah,
yeah, on this, but so
yeah,
I'm not going to do that this week though because we need.
sure.
Or can I do it this week? Basically, we need the. I was going to say I need the guide, and the guide isn't ready
Right.
yet, but the guide should be
Yeah.
ready this week. So,
You know what
um,
else? Is Jen doing a Pinterest of progress for any way, shape, or
yeah,
form? Because that's an
yeah,
easy way
yeah,
too. You could periodically pin images with the tracking guide like ad kind of,
yeah, exactly. So we
if
can
that's a
pin.
thing.
Yeah, I think that'll be like that is completely in Jen's remit, but she
Cool.
will is gonna. Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, so that's a good point though. So we need to have probably need to have the page where you come just to sign up, no other
Right.
noise, to get the guide, and then you can pin direct to there, and then we can link to that direct from
Exactly.
here as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's actually really strong. A place to pin directly to and change it on the blog. Like if you just do those two things and don't worry about the other bits, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a plan for this. So we can say that this is completed,
Yep.
and then
Ah,
the
so satisfying.
next task
Oh yeah, sorry, I
is
just added that.
that's okay. Um, and then the next task is, so I'll just put it in here, new website
Yeah.
task. It's a
Yep.
placeholder. New website task to make special landing page.
Yep. And then if you wanted to put number two was edit blog sidebar for mailing list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Good
Those are
stuff.
great. Yeah, that's great. I think that's also very I like having like a super clear task for next week.
Yeah. And then so my other things for the main list, can't even remember what I was gonna I have done it here. So in my app I've just got a few very basic text changes to make for this. So this is like not to do with a pop-up, but just other ways of joining the mailing list.
Right.
And then so that's like less than an hour's work. And then the other thing
Okay,
to
cool.
do is to um, basically build out this screen,
Mm-hmm.
or these. So to build out one of these screens, um,
Right.
so I have everything I need to do this, and I've done like the Mailchimp integration before and everything. So it should be
Yeah.
pretty straightforward. Just
I
to
mean, if you wanted to cheat and be like super quick, you could mock up or not mock up. You could design the screen so it has the mail bits, right? The email go. And the background could be entirely an image, which as long as you do, the 1x, 2x, 3x for it, probably won't be a big deal. And then you could be done like really fast.
exactly. So I was definitely going to do this as an image as much as possible. So these will have to. It will take a bit of frigging around with testing the different screen sizes and stuff for this.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm not anticipating it being like a huge task. And so
Right.
if it goes well, I'll do the others. Do the others
Cool.
as well.
Cool.
Um, yeah, but so that is it for that.
Now, I know you said some of them are small. Is 4 tasks for the mailing list like too many, or is it just like you're not going to
uh,
necessarily try to get all 4 done in the next week?
well, I mean, these ones. This is really one. I suppose
Right.
it is 2 things. So I'll put this under one thing.
Right.
Um, if
Okay, you
anything,
know
this
what it
is
is? I guess, yeah, I guess you have one thing that you wrote down there. And then since you said the me tab, it's just basically localization text changes. It's really like
yeah,
2 things with an add-on.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Okay,
yeah, and this should be
perfect.
straightforward as we said. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, it will be working through this, and this will be really good to get done.
perfect.
Um, yeah, cool. So
That's
for you,
great. Because yeah, it'll be like really visual stuff too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm pretty excited with that one.
Great.
Cool. So your
All
next
right.
project was $10 a day in App
Yep.
Store profit, and you
Yeah.
had what? Tell me what your tasks were. Remind me.
Okay. So I have one I completed, one I did not complete. The one I completed was basically just kind of keeping an eye on and reviewing my Apple search ad campaign for
Okay.
Takora to see how it goes. Because what I was going to do was, I changed it right after our call last week. And the whole point was, okay, change it for Takora, see how it tracks over this week, and then either modify that as needed and then also change it for Piper, so they could both benefit. And I have to say, like, the changes I made, like, it's super weird what's happened so far. So I know a week is actually a short amount of time because it can be highly variable, especially like, it was just Labor Day weekend in the States, which means holidays, maybe slightly atypical usage. But it to refresh. Last week, I changed it so that I added a bunch of negative keywords. I increased the number of positive keywords. I changed the ad buys to kind of optimize for the right targets, and I put a new build of Takora out there that put the like task stuff first, so that it was time and task management or task and time management. So like your suggestion of you would see it as you auto completing, and week over week, at least, the number of overall impressions is down by about a third. So I mostly attribute that to the negative keywords actually filtering
Right.
out a lot of that, because I actually negative keyworded a lot of really high impression ones, but it was like high impression ones that had click through rates of like 4% or less. So like it was lots of impressions, but they were impressions that were almost guaranteed to not lead to a download or an in-app purchase.
Right. Okay. Well, and then so your total spend is the same.
Yes, exactly. Like I've still kept them really small, and so I do think I might need to investigate like doing a larger spend again, like I did a couple weeks back, because I think the change I've made has really only been successful in stopping throwing away impressions that aren't going to lead to sales. But I've noticed I don't think the positive keywords I add, like the ones I went through and added as regular keywords, they don't seem to have really made any change. It's like my
Mm,
number of impressions just went down and my spend stayed roughly the same. So
right.
it's like I narrowed it down, but I didn't actually change the end result.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So that is definite progress.
Yes,
Um, because what's worse is when you do something and just everything just stays the same. So
exactly.
you have impacted uh,
Exactly.
what's going on. So is your plan to
Yeah.
do more experiments with it, or what are you thinking with that?
Well, okay. I think what I need to do is also use Piper, because since Takora was a brand new app, I only released it a little while ago. It doesn't have a huge following. It gets decent downloads, but I seem to have a lot of trouble getting people to convert to that in-app purchase. Which is weird, because like the pro features are prominently displayed. It's clear what they do. I do a CTA based on a first user action, lots of stuff we've talked about. It just like doesn't get purchases. It gets impressions, it gets download. Whereas Piper, my other app, it's like on like a nice trajectory right now. It's getting tons of, not an amazing amount of uses, but like right now it's at $10. So like
Right.
that's amazing. So, and it might just be tipping app is just a better app, a more popular app than my time management app. So I think I kind of want to do two things. I might consider tweaking the app title again, because right now it's task and time management with Takora. And I wonder if I'm going to look through my keywords and see, are people looking for it for time management, or do people come upon it for task management? Because if it's time, I might just change that to time management with Takora, so that when you type in time M, it'll come up.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I'd say
Yeah.
that is a good idea.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to, I think it's pretty clear that keywords helped filter out some of the worthless traffic. So I think I kind of want to do that to Piper as well, because it has a better conversion rate and better downloads than Takora. So if I applied the same strategy, I would actually hope that then more good ad money would follow through to the downloads that actually lead to something.
Yeah, it stands to reason.
Yeah. So I think that's what my task will be for next week. Will basically be like I said, narrow down Takora's kind of description a little more, and then see if doing that and upping the ad spend and maybe trying out toggling in some different keywords and seeing how that does, but also doing the things that I know have had at least a little bit of an impact on Piper, which is doing much better, because that should be better data. And then next week I'll have 2 campaigns to look at, and I'll have 2 weeks of data for Takora. So that'll actually give us 3 total weeks to scan and be like, okay, what have we done? What makes sense?
Yeah, okay. That sounds like a plan.
So yeah, I'm gonna jot that down real quick. So like add Takora title change and Piper ad campaign to match, and bump the ad spends. Cool. All right. And so the other task in this target that I didn't get to was updating my App Store pages for iOS 11. So like, just, it's been a busy week, and I really wanted to do the videos that you have done, and I just knew I didn't have the time or mental bandwidth, so I kind of just left that task alone. I still obviously want to do it. We're probably now 1 week away from iOS 11.
I think 1 week from it being announced, and then 2 weeks from.
Yeah.
So it's going to come out. It'll be GM this time next week, and then the week after it will be live.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, I still want that kind of in my queue, but what I might do as well is I'll go to the like App Store marketing page, which is bookmarked for months, and look at all these that the App Store is going to undergo, and see how many things I can do besides just the video, all those things first, since that can be lower hanging fruit, like shorter titles, optimization, subtitle, maybe category, whatever else they've got. And then I'll approach the video last. Because I realize I just have to do what you did, where it's basically like do a QuickTime screencast, click some things, throw some soothing music behind it, maybe add some on-screen text, and it's 20 seconds, hit publish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the other thing to be aware of is that after 2 weeks, if you try and update the apps, and you haven't, and your name is longer than 30 characters, then you're not going to be able to submit it. So that doesn't mean that you have to rush it, but it means that at some point you will be forced to do it. So there you go. It's better to be prepared, but it's not the end of the world if you don't do it, I don't think.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's all good. I mean, I did today. I was playing around with the titles and the subtitles, and it doesn't take long.
Okay.
I guess my main fear with it is that they will start doing stuff like I basically changed it so that what appears under the app icon when you download the app is not what appears. That word does not appear in the title of the app um, in the App
I
Store anymore,
see.
or it won't. And so it'd be interesting
Right.
to see whether they let that through or not. Um,
Right. Like,
but
so what you're saying is, for example, for progress, the app icon obviously says progress, but then the apps could be like track body measurements.
exactly, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll see if it comes to that. I might have to change the name of the icon. Um,
Right.
so
Right.
we'll see what happens with it. Um,
Yeah. I feel like this is our version of trying to optimize Google search results. Like, there's just so much black box technology at work here that it's like we can make all these changes and maybe it'll get better or worse. And it might have had nothing to do with what we're doing.
yeah, that's true. But I could see Apple saying, because when the watch came out, there was all this stuff about how the watch app name had to have exactly the same name as the main app name, but Xcode by default didn't name it like that or something like that, and so yeah, it kind of you kind of could, a lot of people seem to be going around in circles on that, and they just
Sure.
had like it's like a new thing. We got a new policy, and we're just blocking stuff, and I could see that
Yeah.
happening, but hopefully it won't. We'll see. And if they
Yeah.
do that, yeah, I don't know. Don't know what I'm going to do, but
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll tread carefully. Like, I'm not gonna, I like all this stuff is baby steps, right? So for the iOS 11 stuff, I think it's mostly like I'm just gonna put stuff in place. If it's a little dumb or redundant, like even if my subtitle is my main title a little bit, then like yeah, we can just tweak as we go.
yeah, excellent.
Excellent. All right. Let's move on to your second target.
Sure. Okay. So that was this kind of tip jar concept that we've
Yep.
talked about before, and so the kind of core idea wasn't in the tip jar as much as in allowing, without a subscription, allowing people to pay more than once, or enabling people to pay more than once. And kind
Yep.
of after we set that as a
Yep.
target, I kind of had the realization that maybe I could, like week two or whatever it was, that we could try and steal from the Sketch kind of model of you get new features. Everything still works, but you have to pay again if you want the new features.
Yep. Yeah, like a pay as you go, but whatever you've paid for is yours forever.
Exactly, exactly. And so what I did was I made some, and my task for the week was to basically mock up. And so I really liked that idea, but I wanted to I felt like the messaging on it is quite difficult, especially like for
Right.
Sketch, people are spending $70, and they're going to take the time to read this. On the iPhone app,
Right.
it's not going to happen. Um, and so I made some
Right.
mock-ups, um, and I posted them on Facebook, and I actually got some really great
Really great
feedback.
feedback, actually.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen again just to talk through them. But yeah, I got
Sure.
yeah, really good feedback. So there's a guy who I've never met, but he's kind of in the
Right.
digital nomad circles, and he has like this ear training app, and he's clearly a very smart guy, and he gave me loads of good
Right.
feedback.
That's
So
awesome.
let me do my share screen.
Yeah, because I intentionally tried to stay off of that because I didn't want to, since that was mostly non-developers talking, since it was friends and colleagues and stuff. I didn't want to like color it with overly technical advice. I was just like, talking it out with you here, but it was
Yeah,
really so it was hard not to comment, but it was fun looking at all this stuff.
yeah. Well, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts now. And I guess one thing to say to take away from this was I was kind of surprised how much engagement I got on
Yeah,
this. And so, um, yeah, you don't need to have many comments for it to be for it to be useful, I think. So it's worth. I'm gonna do. I don't. You obviously couldn't do it every week, but it's a good
of
thing to.
course.
I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so it's got the screen. So I've kind of tried to take some of the stuff. So I've got my face, which I think works well, and then a little description,
Right. It does.
and then the features, and then it's kind of smaller. This is the bit kind of explaining that I
Mm-hmm.
get it for a year. And then someone suggested adding this kind of social proof bit in
Yep.
here. So it's a smart idea. I need to work out how to actually do that,
Sure.
but shouldn't be too hard.
Yep.
Um, and then the bit I'm most nervous about, I think, is before I had these. I haven't got this recurring thing, but I've got
I remember.
the three levels of paying, and quite a lot of people don't pay the cheapest one. But I
Right.
think it was getting really confusing to have all this stuff and to have the three levels as well. And so someone said, like, put the tips, put the tips behind a button. Um,
Right.
so that might not make any difference, but I kind of feel like if you're not giving people a more expensive option, that they may never tap it. On
Right.
the other hand, they're going to pay again, so we'll we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and that's it. So what are your thoughts on this? What's your
Okay. Let's dive in because yeah, I actually realized I didn't give this screen as much analysis as I did the one you uploaded on Facebook. So
right?
the things pros, obviously the face, great, good big picture because it makes it an actual like personal connection. So all good on the message. I love that you say which obviously that might since that would be dynamic based on what the person has done. Like, if you were at day 400, but the person had never bought those initial features, that's a lot of things. So you might need to make sure it can handle either scrolling or that the whole view could scroll. But I think
Yeah.
that's great because it's like you might even want to say, like what you have. So like on day 400, you would say like pro features you've got, blah, 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 new pro features or something. You don't need to,
Mm,
but it's great that you're basically clarifying like, why am I here? What do I get?
yeah.
Um, Now, and I think it's actually really clear with the upgrade button. Like, there's a lot of text, but my only real negatives, like, it's a lot of information. Now, for someone like me,
Mm,
I like this because this seems genuine to me. Like, I see a person, I have a purpose, a meaning, a description of what's happening. There's like, you're going out of your way to make sure that there is no shadiness, like, here's what I'm asking of you, here's what you're going to get, here's the deal, no funny business. And so, like, to me, I really appreciate that. But I know a lot of people, like, if I'm kind of phasing my eyes out, I see upgrade, I see face, I see pro features, I see upgrade button. So it's probably going to be like, this person wants me to upgrade to get these pro features. And then most people will
yeah.
probably ignore the rest. But I guess that's kind of what
Yeah.
you want anyways.
Well, yes and no. So what I don't
Yeah.
want is to be getting 1-star reviews in a year's time for like, oh, he's charging me again. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, the one thing I will say is I wasn't clear right now before you explained it how the ad tip worked. Like, it's clear that you can tap the button to get 199 for an upgrade to get those pro features, but then add tip. So, am I meant to tap upgrade and then tap add tip, or do I just tap add tip? You
yeah.
know?
Well, I assumed you tap add tip. Um,
Maybe okay, if it's one button push, maybe you would do feeling generous, upgrade and add tip instead, or upgrade and add tip.
mm, yeah, or maybe you click upgrade and then it offers the tips
Mm.
before you
Yeah,
go.
you know what you could do? Yes, actually, I think that's good. I think based on your previous feedback where you were saying it's good to show the price, you should leave the 199 there. But you could just say upgrade 199, and when they tap it, maybe you pop up like a sheet, an action sheet, or an alert sheet or something, and you can just say like, yeah, upgrade, or like you could say like feeling generous, upgrade with a tip, and you do the tip one, the tip two, and you can say nah, just the upgrade. Like when you're paying for something with Square and you swipe the credit card or chip and you have to type and it's really obnoxious to ignore the tip.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I know what you mean about a lot of text. I'd have to think about. So like on progress, I've basically got it really talks about the feature that you tried to use that you're not that it's blocking rather than, and then
Right.
it's got kind of got smaller text about the other features. Um, So I could take that approach of just saying like, so you try to use themes, yeah, use themes.
Yeah.
You need to pay, and then you also get, and then you can have lesser.
Do you know what else you could do? You could you have text behind a button. Like, okay, so maybe where at the bottom it says this is a one-off payment, not a subscription. Right under that, like the way you have get in touch, put that kind of a thing under that and just say like more details or learn more. And that's where you put the gray text under the pro features. That's where you put got questions before you buy. And also it's like, so if all of that was under one button and the feeling generous add tip is on the screen after you hit upgrade, that kind of
Yeah,
pares this down just a little bit. So it's down to three parts. Upgrade,
yeah,
hey, I'm Lewis. This is the thing. Pro features, this is the thing you're getting. And then hit this upgrade button because a ton of people have already done it.
yeah. Okay, I think that's good. I'll have to. I'll certainly think about it with that in mind. I'm going to revisit it again. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the idea of. I've seen that there is an app that I've used where when you click upgrade, is then where I'm pretty sure that you click upgrade and then it gives you the tip options.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, I mean, it feels a bit more like not sleazy, but it feels a bit more. There's something less nice about that way. But on the other hand, this big add tip button, you're right, that's confusing.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I like it. I actually think as a overall UI paradigm, it is nicer to be like upgrade. Oh, and if you're feeling generous, add a tip. But that works when it's on a website with Stripe integration and you can hit boom boom.
Yeah,
Um, but since you have to do it through the stupid mobile app purchases, it might be nicer just to get it down to one tap.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Um, cool. Okay, thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I realize that's like a ton of stuff because I've been looking at this for what 4 days, and I've been like, oh no, don't say it. Oh no, don't say it.
No, that's really good. It's really good to have these thoughts now rather than when
Yeah,
I've built all of the stuff.
yeah. And
Um,
honestly, you can absolutely apply an A/B model to this, just like you were talking about with
yeah,
progress with the mailing list.
yeah. So then the other thing just to mention on this is so because this is I don't know whether this is allowed in Apple's rules or not. So I read through the rules again, and I couldn't see anything where it said it wasn't. But
Hmm.
I don't. Also, I don't know any apps that do this, and then I don't know whether that's just because I don't know about them or because it doesn't suit a lot of apps. Like I couldn't imagine doing this in progress because I just think that it would be too hard. Whereas this is quite
Right,
small and has quite distributed. So anyway, I don't know whether it's allowed. I've emailed Apple. It feels I feel like they're probably not going to reply. In which
right,
case, I don't really know what I'm going to do. It says on the way that I went through, it says we get a lot of emails and we don't reply to all of them. It's
right.
like, wow, um, thanks. But then other times I've dealt with them and they've been really
Well,
good.
I
So
mean,
we'll see.
I
Um,
mean, honestly, at the end of the day, if you put up, it probably won't come to their attention at all because it's not violating any private APIs or high level terms and conditions. So it would only be if you hit like a mad level of success and it came across the radar, or they explicitly disavowed this kind of feature and
yeah.
then went hunting for apps that do it.
So I guess it's basically if review notice this line, this line is the only thing really, isn't it?
Hmm.
And to be honest, yeah. So they're not even going to yeah, they're not even going
Yeah.
to approve the in-app purchase again specifically, even though it will be a new in-app purchase, because they only approved those the first time, right? So um, yeah,
Right, right. So honestly, it wouldn't even like I said, if you can pare down that text into like a learn more button, it probably won't
yeah,
come up at all. Like because you're not
yeah,
actually doing anything wrong, you're just doing something new.
yeah. Well, I don't feel like it's wrong for sure, but
No,
I would feel happier if other people would have done it
yeah.
already.
Well,
Um,
honestly, like you like if not for the fact that I'm doing about a million things, the next time I have the ability to do something like this, I'm doing this.
yeah, Cool. Well,
So at the very least, we will be a team of, you know, early adopting possible idiots.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I think you're right. It'll probably be okay, but you always get nervous
Yeah,
with these guys.
I know. I know.
And then my other task I had for this was to create an outline of this. But basically, I've been because this was hungover from the week before, but
Right.
because I keep changing how it's actually going to work, I'm not ready to code yet.
That's fine. Yeah.
So I did like another. I've got some stuff on paper, like I don't know where it is. So um, yeah, so
Yeah.
I have done. So yeah, it was on here. I've done this like
Yeah.
kind of model diagram, and I've done something.
Mm,
I've redone this with the new thing, but I haven't coded anything yet. Um, so that will
gotcha.
be my
Yeah.
task for next week. Now will be to code the outline of this thing.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Do you think, are you feeling confident about that? Like you don't need to hash out any more details? Like it's time to code it up?
Uh, I think so. I haven't got that diagram in front of me, so I've definitely
Yeah. Yeah.
spent more than once kind of looking through this thing. I don't think that
Right.
there's anything particularly difficult or unknown in actually technically in doing it. So
Right. Right.
I think it should be okay. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
I think it should be okay. Um, yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that.
All right.
Um,
That's great.
cool. So your next one was 20 patrons on Patreon.
Yep. Yep, yep.
Um,
It's funny, it's so easy to flub that half the time I try to say backers, but I'm like, but they're patrons. But yeah, so this one, because I basically gave the lion's share of my focus on the iPhone game and double tasked it this week, I didn't get to this one. I could have done some of it today, but in my checklist, I wanted to do kind of like a proper burn. Like I wanted to write a really nice public Patreon post about, what you and I are doing literally right now and why it would be cool for other miners or tippers to, join us like on a once monthly chat. Like, yes, it is paid, but it is a very tiny amount compared to other masterminds. And it would obviously do us a huge solid and hopefully, you a huge solid, the proverbial you. And so and that was like the source from most of the things of the task, like do that Patreon post and then share that and then interact with other developers and designers I know based off of that. And since I
yeah,
didn't have the time to get that post done, I kind of held off on it because I almost like went on Twitter and Facebook and just started like tweeting and linking to people. But like that just would have been obnoxious. And then I didn't want to do that and then write the post tomorrow and do it again. So
yeah, sure.
I just held off. And so like no real on that this week, other than like, hopefully like we keep our engagement up on Patreon by doing this podcast. We're doing like the weekly ridiculous app idea. And I'm going to try to post more generic updates. Like since the app collective is roughly like just whatever you and I are doing, I'm also going to try to post more about our smaller apps. Like, if I like I just updated Decora with a little something, I should have posted about it. If I add countries to Piper, if you make a change to the tagging app, or like even if you do any of these changes in progress, like the change in progress and everything, like we should, or world time or whatever, we should probably add all these in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I should do that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make like a to do for myself to like start doing that. But yeah, so that one changed. I'm gonna leave that one for next week, and yeah, I'm still happy with that one because, like we had discussed last week, I think trying to see if we can get individual developers to join us is a sure way to do it because one developer is equal to 5 of our current supporters. Like one developer or designer joining our Patreon is 50% of our existing backing right away. So I feel like that's like a bang for your buck kind of equation.
Yeah, sure. Okay, makes sense.
Cool. Yeah, so not much movement on that one. Hopefully next week I will have something far more exciting to report. Then Did you have any other comments or thoughts or brainwaves on Patreon or anything you think I should be doing?
No, I don't think so. So, I mean, it all makes sense. Um, I still feel a little unsure about the whole um, the Patreon for that bit thing, because it's kind of like
Hmm.
you're paying to support us, but then
Yeah,
you're getting a service. Like it's like I feel like it's an easier sell to just be like, hey, come and do this mastermind, and you pay for the mastermind, rather than it's like, come and do this mastermind and give us a tip kind of
you're right.
thing. So there's
Yeah, it's true.
um, I don't know. I still think the masterminds are
Well,
a really good idea.
you know, yeah. Well,
I
what
don't
I
know. I
might keep
don't.
in mind is I was going to say, what I might keep in mind is, Kit is the marketing expert, definitely not me. I might talk with her about it and see what makes sense because there's nothing to say that we're doing our own mastermind, we're doing the app collective because it's just the aggregate of our collective efforts, podcast,
Yeah,
etc. So, but we could do a mastermind as part of that, whether it would be a full mastermind at the conclusion of this 12-week one, like where we spend, the next 9 weeks recruiting people for like a mastermind cycle. And like you said, like we set up a landing page with a Stripe login and you just pay for it right there. And Patreon can just stay that thing that's kind of it's a persistent tip jar,
yeah.
instead of like going into our apps and upgrading all the time. It's just like, hey, I like what you guys are doing. Here's $5 a month.
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested to hear what Kit says, because I can see both sides of it. Like, so I can see that it's like a perk. It just depends whether it's like something we're selling or it's like a
Right.
perk, if you see what I mean. Where whether is
Right.
it like a service, or is it something that's kind of, yeah, is a fun, or
Exactly.
like a nice thing. And so it can be both or either. Um,
Right.
but
And I mean, honestly,
yeah,
when I first envisioned it and lifted it from Hellbent and a few other podcast Patreons, I didn't envision it as a service. I envisioned it as a perk. And I might have even envisioned it as like a one, like, donate this much money a month and we'll get on a call and talk to you about some stuff. But I originally thought
yeah,
of it as like, we'll get on a single call. And I think when
mm,
you had the original idea about masterminds, we tweaked it. So maybe that was just like, the seed bubble for something bigger.
yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe that it's two different things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll ask Kit because honestly, the first thing she'll say is, "What is the least amount of work?" Like
Yeah.
if doing this separately adds 10 hours to my week, she'll say no immediately, and I shouldn't do it anyways.
Yeah.
If it's easier, like you said, if it's an easier sell, then maybe it is valuable because we obviously want it to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky to get the balance right, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So I have a task, and so yeah, next week we'll kind of revisit with social media and marketing acumen applied to it and not just our own developer brains.
Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get to your third target, which is the anonymous Indiana Jones, not Indiana Jones tracking app.
Yeah, sure. So my task was to basically look over Tagger and see how much
Right.
I could steal from it or reuse. Um, and so there is a lot of stuff there that will be useful, but I'm not going to reuse the data model. So I'm going to build a new data model.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward. I put like a little model thing into the Trello, but
Great.
it's all fairly straightforward, and it's basically kind of detail tracking, and then kind of
Right.
whatever the word is, where you're kind of summary, like management information data. So like there'll be a
Right.
table for which city you've been in, and then a table for which country you've been in, um,
Right.
and that'll be it. And then it will. I looked
Nice.
at all the syncing stuff and stuff like that, and just decided I'm going to go with core data because it's what I
Okay.
know, and
Okay.
also, pushing it. So I'm not going to do any clever automatic syncing stuff. I can also, it's only one way, so it's actually a lot more straightforward than a lot of other apps. So the server is never going to change
Okay.
anything. So there's a bunch of cool tools
Oh, okay.
that I can use this for, and yeah, I mean, yeah. do you think the server will change things? Like, what do you think would happen?
Well, how would it change things, right? Like you would have to have some other API entry point, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so the idea is that it's basically that your phone is acting as like a GPS tracker, and
Right.
then, and so where you've been in the past, I mean, arguably you could delete it, but you don't
Mm-hmm.
really, um, I'm not going to allow people to change where they've been, so I think it stands to reason to
Right.
say you can't change anything on the website, and the website is just there as like
Right.
a public
Yeah. Oh,
profile
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Right, because I forget, is the point that you would be able to view the data on a website, right?
Yeah, or yeah, exactly. So
Right.
then would maybe be some social element where it could automatically
Right.
produce, something.
Yeah, because
Um,
actually, originally, I forgot that you were going to do that. I was thinking of it way dumber. Like, you're in the app, and you should probably have a way to delete your data in the app, not individually, but like opt out entirely. Like, basically,
mm,
like it's showing where you've been, or you're done, and it deletes it. But I was thinking, like, I'm going to right now. It's January 2018. Where have I been in 2017? And it shares like a when in version 2, it can share like a fun image to Facebook. I didn't actually think about a persistent website that kind of shows it.
mm. So yeah, and I don't know. I mean, that would certainly be something that happens later, but something
Mm-hmm.
that I was actually working on for uh, my freelance customer who is do
Mm.
like these occasional bits for this week. He has a like a stand-up paddleboard tracking location tracking app.
Okay.
Um, and he's got like a share map feature, and I
Okay.
added like a bunch of nice stuff onto his sharing at his request, and it was actually
Okay.
really easy. But I thought it was going to be hard, and it was just like it shows the map and it shows like your kind
Mm-hmm.
of your little journey, and then he's got like a
Mm-hmm.
watermark logo and like some text and stuff over the top of the image,
Okay.
and then you share that to Facebook or whatever, and they look really nice. So
Oh,
um,
okay. That's basically exactly what I was thinking would be like the like perfect version of your app, like being able to share like a nice asset like that.
yeah, exactly, and just push that straight to social. Like I think that
Yeah,
could be
exactly.
really nice.
Yeah, because the other thing is like say it's that, right? It's what you showed in the mockups last week, straight
Mm,
up tracking, and then eventually you had the ability to share with some kind of visualization. If there's no other way to interact with the data, like, no site or whatever else, then the server would ever, you would never have any other way to really modify it. So you could be confident that the only access point for the data is the app, which would kind of keep your situation like crazy simple.
yeah, and actually, I think now more than ever, I think doing a version 1 with no server is probably going to be the way to go. So
I
um,
agree.
yeah, it's a plan, and
Excellent.
I like it. So
Excellent.
my task for next week then is to have like a basic, um, a very basic version of this app. So none, basically zero UI, and then so it's just like a button that you press, and then it requests permission, and then it's just always doing the background location tracking, um, and then
Gotcha.
basically starting to build up this data, and then
That's
maybe I can
great.
share that as an alpha with a few people, and then just start collecting data
Yeah.
or them collecting data that I can visualize later.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, like, as long as you're not destroying any of the data you're collecting, and as long as the data you're collecting is sufficiently precise for whatever purposes, like, maybe like UTC dates with however geo tight you want the location information, you can do whatever you want after it. It could be a year from now when you get the visualization done.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it should be sooner. But if I can just start collecting data, then or people can start collecting data, then even if they never look at it again for several months, if or a month, if they can get an update in a month, and suddenly they can see, oh, look at all these cool places I've been, then
Exactly.
that'll be pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's how I kind of envision using it. Like, I would just leave it on, and every once in a
Yeah,
while, I would pop back in, especially at the end of the year.
yeah, yeah, excellent. Yeah, that's a good point. That'd be nice to get an annual recap of
Yeah,
or a monthly recap, or like a little report. There's a lot of things you could do with that. Um,
there's so
cool.
many fun things. You could even do so many interesting things. Like, say we used this for 5 years. You could be like, here's what you do in summer versus winter versus spring, and you could have like 4 quadrants with different graphics and
Yeah,
stuff. You know.
yeah, yeah. It's true. There's a lot you could do. Hmm.
Nice. All right. Well, that sounds pretty good. I was gonna say originally, based on reading your to do, that it sounded maybe too complicated. But once you described it, I don't think it is. Like you said, you're just literally gonna fire up an empty project, implement just the permission thingy on a button, and then that's it.
Well, the permissions, and then yeah, it will actually start tracking and
Right.
write that to a database. But I don't think I will do the kind of aggregation. So it'll just track your location, but it won't be like, oh, you're in Barcelona and in
Hmm.
Spain. It will just be you're at this
Right.
coordinate. Um,
Right. Right. Yeah. It's literally just
yeah,
logging, logging,
yeah,
logging.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I do actually have to look, I guess, at whether it uses a different API for the. I know it's different
Mm,
where you're not using the GPS as such. You're just doing it when it changes cell
right.
tower.
Right.
But I assume that's the same, and if it's not, it will be straightforward. And so, yeah, that's um,
Yep.
that's the plan.
Sounds like a good plan. Sounds good.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, then please give us a like or a subscribe below, and let us know what you think in the comments. And we'll see you next week.